You're watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
All right, and what a thrill now to be able to spend some time with Kent Hance, of course, former U.S. Congressman, Texas Tech Chancellor Emeritus, and now a podcaster extraordinaire. Now, that's not something I would have necessarily pictured you doing. What's that about, and how did that come about?
Well, I had a lot of people encourage me to write a book, and so I called Skip Hollingsworth, a friend of mine with Texas Monthly, who's their feature writer, I think one of the great writers in the nation, and we talked about it, and he thought it was a good idea, and then he got to thinking about it, and he called me, and he said, look, 70% of the laughter you get is from your delivery and your West Texas accent, and he said, I think you ought to do a podcast. And so he suggested, and I called Pete Thamel, a friend of mine that's been sports editor of the New York Times and is now with Yahoo. He thought it was a great idea, and he had the producer for a podcast at Yahoo give me a call, and so they all encouraged me, and you know, there may not be 5 people listening. I mean, I think we're going to get a lot more than that, but it's a way I can kind of share some of the stories about some of the characters I've met and some of the things I've done, and you know, I think they'll find some interesting stories that you wouldn't find any other place.
What a neat deal. I think a lot of people, especially around here, will be interested in all that. And for folks who may wonder, do you still have a specific role with Texas Tech right now, especially with the lawmakers back in session in Austin? I know you still live and work down there. Are you still part of all that?
Well, I am. Dr. Ted Mitchell, the chancellor, who's doing a great job, and Dr. Skubanek have me working with them on talking to members of the legislature and making sure they hear our side of the story on everything. And I've done that, and I teach a class at Texas Tech and still have the title as Chancellor Emeritus, and I teach, you know, 1-hour course, and I enjoy that.
You know, of course, the vet and the dental schools were just a huge plus for Tech in the last legislative session. What's on the horizon that you're working on for Tech's future and some goals that you'd like to see happen?
Well, I think one of the top goals for Dr. Skubanek and Dr. Mitchell has been making sure we get adequate funding to do everything we need to do at the vet school. And even though budgets are going to be tight this year, I think that we're going to get that done. And part of that goes, you know, Senator Charles Perry is on the Finance Committee, which helps us tremendously out in this area. And then over in the House, Dustin Burrows is chairman of the Calendars Committee. So every member, any bill they pass has to go through the Calendars Committee and gives that person a lot of power and a lot of influence. And then John Frullo's a good member. And so we have a good delegation. You have to stop and think that, you know, you'll have 25 state representatives to 30 from Houston, and you'll have 2 from Lubbock. So our people have to be good and really do a great job, and they do an excellent job.
That's an important note there too. You know, can I ask your thoughts, since you're still working in and around it, on our political world these days? You know, hyper-partisan politics is sort of a cloud over everything. Is there a role in public service for folks who may not be super hard right or super hard left these days?
It's getting tougher. When I was in Congress, you know, I was served, pardon me. When I was in Congress, I was a conservative Democrat, and so was Phil Gramm. And when President Reagan got elected, the Democrats controlled the House, so he had to have some Democrats help him. And I carried his tax cut. We had 78 Democrats vote for President Reagan's tax cut. And then Phil Gramm carried the budget cuts, and they had over 50 Democrats vote for that. In this day and time, like when Trump passed his tax cut, not one Democrat, House and the Senate, voted for it. And then when Obama passed some of his stuff, not one Republican. So it's become very difficult to compromise on things. And when I was in Congress, I never hated anyone that disagreed with me, and I didn't know anyone that did. Now it's almost like if you ask a lot of members of Congress, if they hate someone, you have to pull up a chair, you know, because, I mean, they're going to talk a long time. They got a long list. And I would like to see us get back to where we could sit down, work things out. But it seems like the publicity is the driving thing, that the more sensational things you say, the more you get on cable networks. And so if you call someone a loon or morbidly obese or crazy things like that during the day, it's hard to sit down and work out a compromise that night.
That's true.
And you know, Reagan, one time they were laughing about that he attacked Tip O'Neill. And the way he attacked him, he said, "I think Speaker Tip O'Neill is ill-advised." You know, I mean, that was the attack. And Tip answered, "Well, Reagan's listening to the wrong people." Well, I mean, no one says anything that nice in this day and time. But you know, I was around Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan, and they sit down and they could work things out. But now it's kind of the deal of it's my way or the highway. And that Reagan and Tip O'Neill used to tell Irish jokes. You know, they were both Irish. They had a lot of stories, and they would joke together and they'd work things out. And just like the tax credit for low-income housing, they took it away from the cities primarily and gave it to the private sector to be involved. And that was a compromise between Jack Kemp, Ronald Reagan, and Tip O'Neill. And it passed in the Senate 98-0. It passed in the House 415-1. And so, I mean, that's been a program that's been highly successful, and people benefited. And that it was not a big cost to the taxpayer, and it was something that worked. And so it's hard to get that compromise now because people take such strong positions and they just refuse to compromise. The people that drafted the Constitution, if you read the Madison papers, they were talking about compromise. They knew if you were going to have a lot of states and a lot of different members from different areas, you were going to have some compromise. And it's just been very difficult to do that in the last probably 20 years.
Hey, before we have to go here,
right.
what's the name of the podcast and where can we find it?
Ken Hance, the best storyteller in Texas. And if you just go to Google or anything, a search engine, and type that in, it'll take you to the site. And all you got to do is click, sign up, and listen and laugh, have a good time, and learn something along the way.
I think it's the podcast we all need right now for sure. Ken Hance, Chancellor Emeritus at Texas Tech, thank you for all your hard work now and over the years. Let's talk again soon.
Okay, Bryan, always good to visit with you.